Hi everyone, welcome back to the sports breakdown once again. So it's really not good news right now for the Sri Lankan cricket fans. මම හිතන්නේ මේක අන්ත පරාජයක්. ඉතින් හිතා ගන්න බෑ ඉතින් කොහොමද මේක වුනේ කියලා. I mean, I also can't understand. I have no words to tell what this Sri Lankan team have been performing. This 2020 World Cup has just been horrendous. It has really been very poor today from Sri Lanka, and well done, Glenn Phillips. I think he grabbed this opportunity and he somehow delivered. He performed a brilliant match performance, and Sri Lanka really lost it in their heads. And New Zealand just simply thrashed Sri Lanka by 65 runs. And I was watching the whole match, and I didn't see any positives apart from the first 6 overs by Sri Lanka. I think except for Tikshana's bowling, I think, and DDS at the start. Otherwise, I didn't see anything from the Sri Lankan team, and it's really sad to see that Sri Lanka is performing at this standard. And I think those drop catches from Pathum Nisanka should be. I don't know what to say. The fielding, මං හිතන්නේ ඒක මාර හොඳටම කරේ නෑ අද ෆීල්ඩින් නම් අන්තිමයි අද මං හිතනවා. I think it was horrible. I mean, no words to tell. I think well done to New Zealand. I think they simply outplayed Sri Lanka, and I have no words. I really don't know. I think definitely captaincy, very poor captaincy from Dasun Shanaka. I mean, how can you give Mahesh Tikshana to bowl in the death? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? When you have Kasun Rajitha, you have Lahiru Kumara, you have Chamika Karuratna. How the heck will you bowl Tikshana in the death? I mean, as a spinner, it doesn't make sense in the 18th over. You could have bowled him in the middle overs and kept Kumar or Rajitha to bowl that final few overs, So I think no idea whatsoever from Dasun Shanaka. First of all, Chamika Karuratne should never be in this team. I will tell you why. He's not even giving any purpose to this team. First of all, I'm cussing out, and I have to cuss out because this is really important. Because for me, I don't think Chamika is not performing with the bat. He's not performing either with the ball. No contributions. I think he's suited to play ODI cricket. He's never suited to play 2020 cricket. We haven't seen his game on just because of his domestic performance in LPL or whatever. He's been selected for this team. And also, Hasaranga's batting. For goodness sake, play a sensible shot. And Vanidu Hasaranga, you saw how he chipped today and played towards the fielders. Is that a way that a batting all rounder plays, first of all? Is that the way that a batting order මේ වගේ ක්‍රීඩියකයෝ මේ වගේ ගහනකොට ඉතින් කොහමද අපිට බලන්නේ හතරංග බැට් කරන්නෙත් නෑ හරියට චාමික උඩින් දැම්මම නම්බර් 6 ගහන්නෙත් නෑ හරියට ටොප් ඕඩර් එකේ බලනකොට නිසංක මොන ෂොට්ස් ගහනවද මන් දන්නේ නිසංක මෙන්ඩිස් I mean බානුක mostly බානුක ඔච්චර සෙට් වෙලා ගියා අර ලූස් ඩිලිවරි ෆර්ගසන් බෝල් කරාම එක බෝලයක් ඉන්න තිබ්බා නේද ෆර්ගසන් නිකන් ඉන්න ඕනනේ තර්ඩ් ඕවර් එකේ ඒකත් ගහනවා උඩ පාර ෂොට් එකක් ගහලා ඒකත් දැවි ගියා ඒ වගේද ගහන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායම I mean absolutely dismal. Even Australia performance horrible bowling. No competition whatsoever from this Sri Lankan team. And obviously, we're going to analyze this match in a proper way today. So, without further ado, let's go and actually analyze this match because I am really angry with this performance. Extremely angry. If emotion wise, I was just devastated by the end of this match, seeing how this Sri Lankan team performed because it was absolutely terrible. Fielding wise, see the first innings where we were in the first 6 overs. I'll show the graph. This wait, just give me a second. Just see it because is this the standard of Sri Lanka cricket? I mean, when we were in a high. Just see this New Zealand. I think 25 for 3 after 6 overs. 25 for the loss of 3 wickets after 6 overs. And how come we conceded 160? How come we conceded 160 against New Zealand? I know we dropped the catch of Glenn Phillips. But at least, even though we dropped opportunities, the fielding, obviously, fielding standards horrible. I think worst performance I have seen of Sri Lankan fielding standards for the past 5 years. I don't know who the fielding coach Anton Rocks. I don't know how many drills you have done with these fielders, and still they can't perform. These players still can't perform. These people were just over celebrating when they won the Asia Cup. They were all over celebrating, going to all these shows, TV shows, trying to obviously be promote themselves and all those things. I don't want to go into detail, but these were just unnecessary acts. This is the thing I'm saying right now. This team can't get together, and obviously the conflict of coaching tactics between Mahela and Chris Silverwood, that's also not working. Mahela's ideas don't work in this team. First of all, Mahela's ideas don't work. I'm telling you, Mahela just right now after this 2020 World Cup or this year just resign for goodness sake, because the problem is when Chris Silverwood's ideas are conflicted with Mahela's ideas, especially with the order that Charita Salanka is batting, then when we see ධනුෂ්ක ගුණතිලක එයත් ආබාධයක් වුණා. කොච්චර ඉන්ජරි සාබාධ තිබ්බද මේ ටීම් එකේ? ගුෂ්මන්ද චමීර ඉන්ජර් වුණා, බිනුර ෆර්නෑන්ඩෝ ඉන්ජර් වුණා, මේ කවුද දිල්ෂාන් මදුශංක ඉන්ජර් වුණා. කවුද මේ මට වග කියන්නේ? මේ මෙච්චර 6 ඉන්ජර් 6ක් 7ක් ප්ලේයර්ස්ලා ඉන්ජර් වුණා. විසංකට ග්‍රෝයින් ඉන්ජරි එකක් තිබ්බා. මදුශාන් තාම ෆිට්නස් වලට ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. කවුද වග කියන්නේ මේ මෙච්චර ෆාස්ට් බෝලර්ස්ලා ඉන්ජර් වෙන්නේ කොහමද? මෙච්චර මාසයක් ඒෂියා කප් එක තිබ්බා. අනිත් රටවල් ඔක්කොම සීරීස් ගැව්වා. ඉන්දියා කණ්ඩායම ගැව්වා දකුණු අප්‍රිකාවයි මේ මං හිතන්නේ නවසීලන්තයි. පාකිස්තාන් ගැව්වා ඉංගලන්තේ සීරීස් එකක්. ලංකාව විතරයි. බංග්ලාදේශ් ගැව්වා ට්‍රයි සීරීස් එකක්. 2020 World Cup එක ඉස්සෙල්ලා. ලංකාව තමයි මුකුත් ගහන්නේ නැත්තේ. ඉස්සෙල්ලා මන්තයක් ඉස්සෙල්ලා මුකුත් ගහන්නේ නැහැ. ක්‍රිකට් ගහන්නෙම නැහැ. ඒෂියා කප් එක දිනලා හොඳට ඉන්න. එච්චරයි. දිනලා සෙලිබ්‍රේට් කරලා ප්‍රැක්ටිස් මුකුත් කරන්නේ මාස සති දෙකක් ආයිත් යනවා කැන්ඩි වලට මේ ප්‍රැක්ටිස් වලට ආයිත් ඔස්ට්‍රේලියා යන්නේ අන්තිම මොහොතේ. මේ වගේද ගහන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායම. ඒක තමයි I have to critique, because this is the way, this is the misorganization of the Sri Lanka cricket board is the issue why the Sri Lanka cricket will never improve. It will never improve because of this standard. මේ වගේද වග කියන්නේ මේ ප්ලේයර්ස් ලට. උයි ටීම් සිලෙක්ෂන් උත් අන්තිමයි. මේ අර ප්ලේයර් යනවා ඒ බෑකප් හරියට තියෙන්න ඕනනේ. මේකේ ෆාස්ට් බෝලර්ස්ලා ඉන්ජර් වෙනවා නම් ෆාස්ට් බෝලර්ස් වැඩියෙන් දාන්න ඕන. මොනවද ඒක ස්පිනර්ස්ලා දාන්නේ? වැන්ඩසේ මොකද කරන්නේ මේ ටෝර්නමන්ට් එකේ? වැන්ඩසේ එක්ස්ට්‍රා ෆාස්ට් බෝලර් එකක්වත් දාන්න තිබ්බනේ ඔස්ට්‍රේලියා යනවා නම්. ඒකත් කරන්නෙත් නැහැ. ඒකයි මේගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම දන්නේ නැහැ මොනවද සිලෙක්ෂන් කරන්නේ. දිනේෂ් චන්දිමල් අච්චර ඉම්පැක්ට්ෆුල් ප්ලේයර් එකක්. එයා රිසර්ව් එකේ ඉන්නේ. රිසර්ව් එකේ බෑකප් උත් නැහැ. දිනේෂ් චන්දිමල්. So these are the things we have to, because Ashen Bandara only for his fielding. He's not even coming to bat. He doesn't perform also. So who to critique? Who to critique in this thing? I mean, after the Asia Cup, who to critique? Bloody critique this team. This all has to be responsible from the Sri Lankan cricket board only, because their mismanagement of the Asia Cup, not going straight away after practice, making these players not to practice for 2 freaking weeks. Didn't even practice for 2 freaking weeks. We lost to Namibia in the qualifiers. They're excusing because of the conditions. We didn't practice. We didn't do any net sessions for 2 weeks. We know, I observe, I knew it from that time when these players are just enjoying themselves, going for fame and everything after the Asia Cup victory. And this is the way that the Sri Lankan cricket players have been performed. This is absolutely terrible. This is the way this is why we are performing this badly in Australian conditions. And to blame is the Sri Lankan cricket board. This is why for the last 5 or 6 years, this Sri Lanka cricket is stagnant. It's stagnant, never improving. Never improving. The rankings, did we see improvement in 2020 and ODI cricket? I don't know. Test cricket, there seems to be an improvement. But when it comes to 2020 and ODI cricket, since the 2014 World Cup, have we seen big improvements in the Sri Lankan team? I mean, apart from the Pakistan 2019 series, I agree. India series you cannot count because obviously that was a B team. But anyways, I'll take that also. Australia we won in 2017. That series. We played a 2020 series against Australia 6 months ago, okay? We performed better in that Australian series compared to what we played against Australia at Perth. What was that performance apart from Lahiru Kumara? I don't know what is Chamika Karuratne doing in this team. He doesn't have a role. He doesn't have a role because he's not bowling properly either in the middle overs or death. He's not even performing well with the bat. Mukut karanne Chamika nam මන් දන්නේ මොනවද කරන්න කියලා. පිටිකරු අංශෙත් ඒකත් fail. මේ පන්දු යමන්නත් මුණාම එයත් ෆේ ඉතින් කවුද මේ වගේ වග කියන්නේ මේ වගේ all rounders හරියට perform කරන්නේ නැත්තම් 2020 World Cup එකේ අයින් කරන්න මේගොල්ලෝ චාමික මොනවද කරන්නේ මන් දන්නේ අවුරුදු දෙකක් ඉඳලා 2020 cricket circuit එකේ මුකුත් කරන්නේ absolutely is not doing anything. So no point arguing about this. These should be obviously the Sri Lankan Cricket Board is the reason, is the bloody reason why we are in this situation for more than 4 to 5 years. I will tell you that 100% trust because they don't, they try to change coaches, they try to change all what they can. Team selection wise, the selection committee, I don't know what they are doing. Mr. Pramodya Wickramasinghe, I don't know what you guys are doing. You don't know which bowlers to send, you don't know which backup players to send, you don't know the proper squad. When Asitha Fernando performed properly in the 2020 World Cup, you dropped him also. What is this sort of selection these people are doing? I don't know. Binura Fernando coming after injury. At least the fast bowlers at least try to train them properly. You know, this is why so many injuries happen. This is why so many injuries happen in Australia. So no one's taking responsibility. So I can't argue about that, obviously, because it's up to the Sri Lankan Cricket Board to obviously, and the selection committee, the coaches, the fast bowling coach to sort that out, not us as fans. This is the thing. And today, Pathum Nisanka's drop, how big of that was, how big of an impact? කොච්චර ඉම්පැක්ට් එකක්ද ඒක පතුම් නිසංග මෙච්චර අල්ලන්න බැරිද බෝලේ මං හිතන්නේ එච්චර අමාරුද මෙච්චර සිට් එකක් දැන් දසුන් ශානක නම් මට තේරෙනවා අර ඩ්‍රයිව් එක කොච්චර අමාරු කියලා එයා ඇටෙම්ප්ට් එකක් කරා මෙච්චර සිට් එක මෙච්චර මේ නවසීලන්තේ කන්නයන් 25යි විකට් 3යි මං හිතන්නේ 30ක් විකට් 3යි මෙච්චර ඩ්‍රොප් එකක් කරනවා පැතුම් නිසංක මට දැන් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මෙච්චර මැච් සිටුේෂන් එකේ ඉඳලා මේ වගේ ඩ්‍රොප් එකක් කරනකොට ඉතින් කොහමද අපි දිනන්නේ ලෙන් ෆිලිප්ස් වගේ බැට්ස්මන්ලා අවුට් කරනකොට හරියට කරන්න ඕනනේ ආයිත් ඔපචුනිටි හම්බු වෙන්නේ නැහනේ ඒ වගේ කැච් මේ විකට් ගන්න නැතුව කොච්චර අමාරුද මේ නිව්සීලන්ත ඕස්ට්‍රේලියා කන්ඩිෂන්ස් එකේ සබ් කොන්ටිනන්ට් එකේ විකට්ස් ගන්න ඒක විකට් ඔපචුනිටි එකක් ගත්තම ගන්න ඕන හරියටනේ I mean you have to take the opportunity no but no one they don't want to take responsibility so this is what happens when team players don't take responsibility this is what happened and the fielding please do not talk about the fielding today I think this was worse than Pakistan very very sloppy fielding I don't know where Sri Lanka were today but that fielding standard if comments wise 2 or 3 out of 10 for sure under the field never in the game situation today never played properly today and this is why Sri Lanka cricket is in this standard the feeling no match awareness nothing no match awareness nothing not in the situation just taking the game lightly is this the way playing taking the game lightly when we were 25 for 3 did you see how New Zealand were attacking when we wait for 4 putting the fielders close to the 30-yard circle trying out new things the fielders were energetic our fielders were lethargic misfielding not aware of the game situation dropping catches this is what happened මේ වගේ තමයි වෙන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායම obviously cricket fantastic here says hi Pawan I don't think selection is the problem we just let the game get out of our hands we took it for granted we thought we would win it easily and let them come back I agree absolutely I agree with your point cricket fantastic but the problem is there are certain players in this team that are not performing up to standard we have to tell that right especially some players like Chamika Karunaratne, Banindu Hasaranga's batting, these are all coming into question. You know, Pathum Nisanka, Kusal Mendis, their strike rate. I know they're scoring runs, especially Pathum Nisanka. His innings against Australia, 40 of 46. Is that acceptable in 2020 cricket playing like this? I mean, strike rate okay under 120, 130. His strike rate was 97 or something, 90 or 97. I'm not telling lies. These are facts. 20 of 40 of 46. Is that acceptable? This is why we couldn't get a 170, 180 with the acceleration of Charit Tasarank at the end. We could have even challenged Australia if we got the 20 or 30 runs. Had Pathum Nissanka played a proper knock and not playing without playing, not playing. I mean, obviously he played slowly. I know that, but at least accelerate after the power play, right? After 20 or 25 balls, once a settled, but he didn't do that. He played his natural game and continued. That's the thing. In-depth analysis with Nitish says Jayawardene should be fired. I don't think he should be fired. I think he shouldn't conflict with Chris Silverwood's ideas. Obviously, his role will come to an end. His role will come to an end after the 2020 World Cup, anyways. So Chris Silverwood, and I think Naveed Nawaz is a character who can step this team up. Why? I don't know why do we need people like Mahela Jayawardene to conflict with Chris Silverwood, because Naveed Nawaz is a brilliant batting coach. We know what he did with the Bangladesh under 19 team. Naveed Nawaz is an experienced coach. He's a very talented coach. Batting coach wise, he's one of, I think, the best. But people like Mahela coming to conflict his ideas, change the batting order. Obviously, doing what he wants is conflicting. That's what I said at the start of the year. This is why the selection committee also left. Mahela was trying to put arguments, and that ended the selection committee also of, sorry, the sports council, and that doesn't exist anymore. So I really don't know what's going on in that dressing room right now of Sri Lanka when it comes to coaching staff, but that should be sorted out ASAP. 168 is chaseable, definitely chaseable, I think. But the thing is, you have to credit the bowling lineup also. I think obviously Sri Lanka against New Zealand, obviously they could have restricted them easily to 135, 140, and Sri Lanka would have obviously won this. 168 was just a bit too much. That's what happened, especially with Boult and Southee. That's not an easy score to put up with. But I do agree it was chaseable, but obviously, we have to credit also this New Zealand lineup. Hamza here says true. Very sad. Yeah, hi Hamza. Thank you for coming back. Um, Kusan Mendy's strike rate is pretty good, but Nisanka either has to bat at 3. Maybe DDS can open and get some quick runs. Nisanka at 3 would suit the way he plays. Maybe, but I agree with your point. But I think after 2020 World Cup, I think we need to find a new opener. I think we have so many in this domestic circuit. I think Tanuka Dabare, one player comes into mind. Lasit Crosspulli, another player. Niroshan Dikpal, if he can improve his strike rate, I think he's another player who can obviously make impact. Kusal, Janit Pereira, Avishka Fernando, when they come back next year, they'll have to play domestic cricket to come back, obviously, but I think they have a place. Because Pathum Nisanka, I don't think he's open at all. I agree with you. He should be batting at 3 in my case. But yeah, that's the thing. Hamza here says even 140 Sri Lanka would have not chased. I think the situation would have been different though, Hamza. I think especially 168. I think obviously it was a bit of a pressure. Obviously, Sri Lankan batters had to knock immediately. So I think it's with the scorecard pressure. Obviously, with the way that Sri Lanka performed badly, I think in the power play, especially 8 for 4 is unacceptable. 8 for 4 in 3 or 4 overs. 8 for 4 in 4 overs. Sri Lanka, is this a team that should obviously perform like that? That's what. Um, all right, I'll send the link. But Nitish, okay, please calm down though about the Sri Lankan performance. But yeah, I'll send the link for sure. Yes, no worries. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Again, you're telling same names. Those have ashamed Sri Lanka cricket. Not ashamed Sri Lanka cricket, Nitish. We have to tell things, right? We have to tell the truth of what's happening to this team. And obviously, brilliant innings from Glenn Phillips. We cannot say anything about that. Obviously, Glenn Phillips just played a brilliant knock, and because of those two silly catches that we dropped, especially the Nisanka sitter, I think that costed the match for Sri Lanka. And you have to give credit when it's due. And Glenn Phillips, I think, has been outstanding throughout this 2020 World Cup on the field. Also, his enthusiasm. He got cramps at the end, but showed his enthusiasm, and I think He really did well, and he needs to be given the credit. Another question comes to my mind: the death bowling of Sri Lanka. Huge question mark. This is the biggest worry for me. I don't care whether it's Chamira, Dilshan, Madhushanka, Kasun Rajitha, Lahiru Kumara, Teekshana, Hasaranga. Put the bowlers down. But the death bowling of Sri Lanka from match one, even when Chamira was there, isn't been good. Hasn't been good in Australia. I have to say this, except for the Ireland match, death bowling throughout the 4 matches I watched, except for the Ireland match, has been pretty poor. Pretty poor. Have to say this because even in the Australian match, the way that Hasaranga conceded runs, New Zealand match, I mean, Lahiru Kumara bowled so well in Perth and in Sydney. What happened to Lahiru Kumara? What happened to Lahiru Kumara in Sydney? We have Nitish joining us, obviously. Hello, Nitish.
Obviously, hello, hello,
I think
there is problem with
echo.
the camera.
There's
I
echo,
think
Nitish.
can only speak.
Echo. There's echo, Nitish. Can you sort that out and come, Nitish? I think there's echo on your side. Yeah. Okay, so there is a problem with his mic. Okay. Cricket Fantasy cases and Chamika Karuratne is the definition of bits and pieces. Sri Lanka doesn't use him properly. He has no power to get a 25 of 10 balls. Then he can't be used as a main bowler. Lahiru Madhushanka maybe. If he is performed well with the bat, Nitish, can you sort out the mic you're showing? Okay. All right. Wait. Oh, Nitish, it's still not started. Can you rejoin? Can you rejoin again? Yeah, so I agree with you. I think if we have to find a new all round, I think cricket fantastic. It's time because I think Chamika surely has to play in. I think Chamika he's done in 2020 cricket. He should play only for ODI cricket, according to me. He can't play a 25 of 10, as you say. He's not bowling well. Then when Chamir and Dilshan Madhushanka injured, who has to take that responsibility? The third seam, obviously, that's Chamika Karuratne. No, he's stable in that team. He should take the responsibility. No, he's the bowling all rounder, and he's not taking any responsibility. He's not taking any responsibility. He's conceding 8 or 9 runs and over. So it's okay. Wait. All right. I think now it's sorted. Yeah. Nitish, can you hear me?
Yes, now Pawan, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's okay. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. What do you want to say? So Nitish, especially about the death bowling. We were talking about Chamika Karuratne also. What his performance. So what's your take on that also?
First of all, Sri Lanka don't have excuses now. These players, these bowlers, especially Kumara, even Rajita. See, when you are bowling in Test matches, definitely you are far better than those bowlers who are inexperienced and newcomers. That's
I
why
don't think
people have
Rajitha can be
selected him.
complained much, Nitish, because 2 for 23 of his 4 overs, I think he did bowl well in the power play. I think it's mainly Lahiru Kumar and Chamika should be, I think especially Chamika is the one I think should be
No,
criticized a lot
see, this
with
is
how he's
so
bowling.
this is absolutely crime when you are bowling two no balls consecutively. I think this is more than I think just I think Rajita, even Rajita, see the way he has bowled initial spell, it's okay. But the
Yeah.
last over, he could have easily bowled well. But he has
Mm,
conceded two no balls. Sir, these
mm,
things mattered.
mm,
And the moment Pathum Nishanka has dropped that catch, I think
mm,
Sri Lankan team went down from that point onwards. I think they
mm,
thought we have lost the game. Have you
mm.
observed that moment or not?
Yeah. I watched the entire match. I know. I think Patum Nishanka's catch was the gaming turning point of the match because how can you
No,
drop
how
20
can you
wickets like
see,
that?
Pawan? You can't in this modern era, in this just chasing people chasing 180, 190 with ease, and you are just chasing 160, 175, 165. I think that was, I think, good total from the recovery New Zealand had from
Mm,
three down. I think Sri Lanka should have backed themselves batters at least. But in batting, same reflection happened in batting also. We what we observe.
Yeah, but you need to
And
give credit
before start
to
selection,
Southee and
and
Bolt.
when
Bolt, the way
see,
the
Pawan, let me complete 1 second.
yeah.
And when you have got a little bit of momentum with Bhanuka Rajapakse and Sanaka, once again there is no game sense, there is no game awareness at that
Mm,
point of time. Just you are going with the flow, you don't know how to just take the game towards end. I think what happened here, Sri Lanka have already out of the World Cup with the net run rate also, they are in on the negative side. I
mm,
think, see, these players again. I am telling you, Pawan, for the last couple of years or so, that these players are in the setup for the last 6 or 7 years. These teams right now should have compared to the teams like India, Australia, New Zealand, even England. Yeah, and you are still comparing with West Indies, Bangladesh. I think these
Yeah,
things.
but Nitish, you have to understand. No, the New Zealand team is currently one of the best, and especially Southee and Bolt. They have been bowling for how many years now, Nitish? You have to give some credit
This
also
is the
to the
same New
New
Zealand team
Zealand
who has lost
bowlers.
in the final. See, listen, this is the same New Zealand team who has lost in the final in their home backyard. Because Sri
True, true.
Lankan team
I
loses against a good side, it does not mean that every opposition team is best. This see, you will see definitely this New Zealand side will struggles against South African side in
mm,
semi-final or in final. Even
I
against
agree
India,
with
you will see that.
I agree with cricket. Fantastic though. How can Dasun expect Tikshana to be good in the last overs? I don't get the logic. The guy's a spinner. He can never be given 2 overs in the death. Yeah, but they don't have any options. That's the thing. They don't have any options to bowl in the death. No Chamira, no Madhushankar, no Binura. There is no options. That is the problem why they have to opt for Tikshana. That's what happened in the last match also because Tikshana is the one who gets the wickets. Kasun Rajita is just a power play bowler. Kumar concedes runs in the death, so no option. I don't understand why Dasun Shanaka doesn't bowl himself even. That's another problem I have even with Nitish also. I don't get why Shanaka is also not bowling. At least a few overs, not backing himself.
See, the problem for Sanka is he don't have faith on himself or in his team. Today, what we have today, as an observer, as a neutral fan, what I have watched, the moment Pathum Nissanka dropped the catch, Sri Lankan 11 players on the field believed that we have lost the game from that point onwards. You could
Hmm.
see from that on point onwards, the bowling was poor. The fielding started to just they drop catches, they missed field. Everything happened from that point onwards. While if reverse could have happened, if Sri Lankan were on the other side receiving it, New Zealand could have take the game from that point onwards. Even
Venuja,
see catches.
yeah, yeah. Continue. Sorry.
How did let me take how did Sri Lanka win the Asia Cup? See, if you want to live in the past, no, then live in the past. The current,
Yeah,
the major
that's what I said.
tournament is
Because
now.
these conditions, wait. Compare the conditions in Dubai and Australia. You cannot compare. In Dubai, the toss mattered, the conditions mattered. Sri Lanka were better suited to the conditions in Dubai. When it comes to Australia, we didn't have much preparations. We didn't have a good warm up setup. One match was washed out. The way that we went for training 2 weeks ago, sorry, 2 weeks before the tournament started, when other teams were playing bilateral series. This is the problem. The period between we winning the Asia Cup to the warm up matches was horrible, absolutely devastating schedule that Sri Lanka had because no preparation, had a break for 2 weeks, enjoyed as much as they can towards the Sri Lankan attention to the media and going for all these shows and everything and just ruining themselves. And see, this is a embarrassment right now that Sri Lanka have done against Australia and New Zealand and also against Namibia in the opening match, which is unacceptable. I would say with this standard, with this team, I will say that it's unacceptable because yeah,
Venuja, I want to tell you that SCG, the pitch, the condition was almost similar to the Asian condition. If you have watched the game carefully, I think you should realize that the SCG was not like the typical Australian condition like Brisbane, MCG, where we have watched the India Pakistan game or even the Australia Sri Lanka game in Perth. But the question is that even in these conditions where you are getting the condition which suits you, you have performed very badly. This is the most worrying sign for a team like.
Cricket
And see,
Fantasy just said
definitely
India is so bad that they could make the Asia Cup finals against a low standard Sri Lankan team. Wow, man. What's your
now,
response to that?
if you're taking, see, if the people are taking the reference of Asia Cup, then it will be okay. They remain happy with the Asia Cup win, and your team will, the team you are supporting, Sri Lankan team.
Hmm.
See, I'm telling you
Yeah.
what I'm pointing out the things Pawan
Hmm.
is understanding from the last year's World Cup. What we have discussed, Pawan. This team should at least make to the semi-final. The next
Yeah, I
target
agree.
now.
Absolutely agree. Because this is the
Now
same
what
team. I mean,
happened? The
hmm.
reverse thing have happened. See, this team has performed well in the last year's World Cup, and this
I
time
mean, but
they
at
even
least
worse.
there's still
They
two
have
matches.
performed.
There's still two matches, but still, you never know. In case there's a washout, Sri Lanka could be lucky. But obviously, they have to beat Afghanistan and England. There's no excuse right now. At least, even though they get eliminated, doesn't matter. Have to win the remaining two. This is no excuse. I know we lost to Australia and New Zealand, but have to forget this. If we lose to Afghanistan, at least I think it's a huge embarrassment. I am telling you to the Sri Lankan people right now, if we lose to Afghanistan, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say if they lose to
And
Afghanistan.
you never know. You never know the way these players, the batters, even performing on those pitches, Brisbane and Perth. We have seen in the Afghanistan first game itself in the Asia Cup, where the
Hmm.
condition was similar, almost like to the Brisbane. You never know. See, the problem for Sri Lankan team is that though they have won the Asia Cup, the only tournament they have won for the last 6 or 7 years. The point is that they have to just raise their game after winning the Asia Cup. So much confidence they have got, but still the way they are performing, the way they have performed, especially in this World Cup. See, forget about Ireland win, forget about Netherlands, Scotland, Uganda. You can't talk about those games. Sri Lanka has got the test status in 1980s, and these teams has got the test status right now. If you are happy with the performance like winning against Netherlands, then it's done and dusted for any cricket team. See the Ireland team. Ireland team had fought in the Melbourne cricket ground, and they just whatever could have happened. The rain came, but still they were ahead in the game. They won the game by five runs.
Against
See,
England, yes.
people, see, you can't take the reference of Asia Cup. Asia Cup was different thing,
The World Cup is
and
a
World
different.
Cup is totally different thing. The team is only recognized at the world stage. Let me tell you
True,
one thing.
true. Yeah, Chamika literally bowls six slow balls and over. Why do we need him in the team to bowl spin? But the thing is, the pitch was a bit slow today. Cricket Fantasy.
No,
This is the
no,
thing. Chamika
Pawan,
wasn't.
forget. See, viewers forget about all the things happened in the first half of the game. Now the point was that Sri Lankan batting was considered to be the one of the best after the Asia Cup win, with the batters they were having Nishanka, Mendes. See when I watched after the break, I just observed that now it's 4 down for 8 runs. What is this? You are playing a World Cup or what? Or a
Hmm.
gully cricket?
Hmm. Yeah, I think
Eight.
unacceptable. A few dismissals were unacceptable. Unacceptable, especially Dhananjay De Silva, the way that he got out, the way he got chopped. Nisanka, very silly shot to play against Southee. Especially, I know he was trying to attack, but the way I know 5 dots was in the over, but is that the shot that he needed that at that moment to obviously get a boundary? I think that's
I
just
don't
game
know. I
awareness.
see,
I think
Pawan, let me
completely.
interrupt you. Let me tell you, is there not any message fed from the dressing room that okay, we don't rush. We want to go further and further deep into the game. Take the game deeper because see, Bhankar, see you can't go bang bang.
Hmm.
If other side of the wickets are falling, I think you can't go bang bang in every game. You have to respect the opposition players, bowlers, and then you have, see, this is the world stage. You have to treat each and every game differently. Today what was the case? say 4 wickets down, you could have easily take the game deep,
Hmm.
long
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Continue. We'll come to that
Bhanu,
point. Yes.
sir, he was so greedy that he got one boundary. Again, he tried to hit one for six. See, they are not they are not the associate team bowlers. They are also the world class bowlers. You can't hit every ball for six and fours. Bhanuka Rajapaksa
Hmm.
was also the culprit. Though he has got
Yeah,
30
I
35
agree.
runs, he is not the man he is not the man who could take the Sri Lanka way forward. I think
Yeah,
the way
cricket
he plays
fantastic. Yes,
careless
yes.
shots, even Chamika
Yeah.
Karunaratne. See, Chamika Karunaratne, what was he trying to do at that point of time when the partnership required at that? So I think no message fed from the inside dressing room. What was Mahela and think tank was doing there?
Mahela, I think is
There was no
causing
message
all
that
the
okay,
conflicts.
we have to wait for
He's
four
causing
five
all the
overs.
conflicts in the team. That's the issue. Because Chris Silverwood has one plan and Mahela is having another plan, I think, and nothing's working well. I think the same issue that happened last year between Mickey Arthur and Mahela again. It's to be seen with Chris Silverwood also and Mahela. I think Mahela right now. I don't think he needs to interfere right now because Chris Silverwood is a good coach. He did well, no, in the Asia Cup. Mahela wasn't there in the dugout. I think they were doing so well under Chris Silverwood and Navid Nawaz. I think both of them are a good combination, but I don't know, somehow with Mahela's ideas in the 2020 World Cup, nothing seems to be working for this Sri Lankan team. And obviously, I think they need to check on whether Mahela is needed for this Sri Lankan team right now. If they want Mahela, then he should be head
Mhm.
coach of this team. Simple as that. Why is he not head coach? If he's trying to come as a consultant and then his ideas also not working, then what's the point of having him? This is the thing. Cricket Fantastic here says Rajapaksha threw his wicket away.
Today,
They did not challenge.
Pawan, today only normal cricket need to chase down the total of 160. Even that they haven't done. Look at Hasaranga. I think out of 100 matches, only one match he thinks himself as an all-rounder. I think this is
You are lagging,
absolutely
Nitish.
rubbish. And even in the bowl,
You are lagging. Yeah, can you sort it out and then tell me? Yeah, I'll take the comments down until then. Yeah. All right. So, Cricket Fantastic here says Rajapaksha threw his wicket away. They did have challenged New Zealand had he and Shanaka been in the wicket. Just senseless cricket. We don't have a guy who would get to. Yeah, this is the nature of Bhanuka Rajapaksha. He just plays his shots. He tries to place four sixers. He tries to He tries to play every boundary in every over. So that's the way that Bhanuka plays. He think අපිට කරන්න දෙයක් නෑ ඉතින් බානුක මේ වගේ ගහනකොට I mean you cannot help, that's the style of Bhanuka Rajapaksa. If he's playing in that style, then he should open no bat at number 3, not in the middle over, if middle order, because when wickets are falling down, that's not the style of nature that you play. Let's see if Nitish has started. Nitish, are you okay now with the connection?
is it okay from my side?
Yeah, now it's okay. Yes. Yeah, Cricket Fantastic here says, I partially agree with Nitish. We don't have a guy who could get us runs consistently or a guy to get us out of trouble. Yeah.
City today was the perfect condition for Sri Lankan batters to prove themselves. Okay, we are here to prove the world that we are the team to beat. But see, these things once again will definitely take back Sri Lanka. Now I am hearing the words that Matthew should come in, Tishara Pereira should come in. I think this will definitely hurt Sri Lankan team, and you will definitely go back 4 years back. Let me tell you.
I mean, we don't know. There is players coming up in the circuit. I think Lahiru Madhushanka is one. I think Cricket Fantastic says problem is we don't have a proper all-rounder to sort out. We need to see in the domestic circuit who's performing well. Because right now, I think Chamika should be out because the way that he's bowling,
No, no.
the way that he's
Even
batting.
Hasaranga, see, you can't.
How can you put Hasaranga away, Nitish? Because he's doing well as a bowler, right? I know he might not be
As a
doing well
bowler,
as a
then he should come
batsman.
at number 9 or 10 as a batter. At least you
Not
have the
9 and
confidence
10.
that
Not 9
Hasaranga
and 10
can get
Nitish, but
4 or 5
at least number
runs.
8. I would say number 8, Hasaranga for definitely, but not batting at number 7. Yeah, I do agree a bit on that. but he still he can bat. But the thing is, he's not consistent. That is the problem. The way that he gets out. So for me, he should come either 8 or 9. I agree with that. But he shouldn't be out of the team because his bowling is still important, valuable for this team. So he needs to sort out his batting. That's what I'm saying.
I think
Benuja here
today
says,
Sri Lanka has lost the game because of the confidence, lack of confidence. They don't have faith in themselves. Okay, we can win this game. The
hmm,
moment the drop catches happened, I think the game was lost then and there. 160. See, in the modern era, you can expect a team to get 160, 170. Isn't that, Pawan?
hmm, yeah,
The,
yeah.
it was not a high score. It was just a
Yeah, but
mid. Okay, it was
but Nitish, you have to understand 168. I mean, especially with Boult, Southee, Ferguson, the way that they've been bowling, especially in their conditions, because Australia,
Then
New Zealand
forget,
are sort of
see,
similar
then forget
conditions.
about performing well in the World Cup stage. Then forget about. You have to face. Then against South Africa, you will take. You can't face
But
Nokia,
South
Rabada,
African
and
bowlers
do
is a
this.
different case, Nitish, because their conditions and New Zealand and Australia, it's completely different, no? So you cannot compare South African bowlers compared to New Zealand bowlers because New Zealand fast bowlers, Bolt and Southee especially, every team struggles. You have to accept that, no, every
Okay,
team struggles
okay.
against Southee and Bolt. If you take India,
Okay.
Australia even struggle. Australia struggled in game one, no, Nitish, against Southee and Bolt. You have to accept
But
that, right?
Australia have a
3 for 6.
see whether they have whether other teams have struggled or not. It does not matter until if they are qualifying. If they have a chance to qualify for the seventh semi-final, I think it's okay. But your team, since I'm a neutral fan, I don't have any grudge with your team or like that. I'm only talking about negative points. What will happen if they do well? Or always favor. See, this team I always favor because this team has rich history of cricket before
Hmm.
2014. But after
Hmm.
2014, I think they are all lost. Because
Hmm.
see, the problem is that Sri Lanka don't have chance now to qualify for the semi-final. I think
Cricket
they have
Fantastic here
to.
says Venuja literally Hasaranga can play in any team in the world. This guy is out of his mind.
Wow, 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 wow. Hasaranga has, I think, how many games has he won single-handedly with his bowling? Tell me, how many games?
I mean, but
Tell
Nitish, you have
me.
to admit
Now
it is
I'm
bowling.
asking him the question, the guy who has asked this question today, what kind of bowling did he bowl? Do you all saw that?
Hey, that's his natural
He
action,
was
no,
bowling bit
Nitish.
like Kedar Jadhav. He was bowling
That
bit
is
like
his
Kedar
style,
Jadhav.
no, Nitish. That is his style, no. If he
That
can't get,
is
because
his
that's
style.
what he
No,
does.
that is the
That's
lack
what
of
he does to
confidence
control, right?
on him. That is the lack of confidence. Being a
Not
world
lack
class
of
bowler, you
confidence.
can't have the
Confidence,
lack
Nitish.
of.
That is a way of trying to dismiss a batsman in a different way. That's what he's trying to do a different action that any
What
bowler,
he was
some bowlers
see,
do have that.
who know, see before this game, how many of people knows Phillips before this game?
We
Tell me
know,
first.
no, so no, most of us knew, no, Glenn Phillips will perform in this 2020 World Cup. He's been doing well for New Zealand in 2022, highest run scorer for New Zealand this year. He's Glenn Phillips. He's
It's
been doing
simple
well,
as that.
even though no one's noticing it. Glenn Phillips has been performing well in bilateral series before this innings, even though no one's noticing. This is the problem. Sri Lanka's strategic plan went wrong because of taking Phillips lightly.
See, whatever people will analyze, see, the simple thing is that Sri Lankan cricket has improved a bit, but it has not improved a lot till now. And still,
Cricket
the people
Fantastic
started
CSS, sorry to
deteriorating
interrupt.
by saying that Matthew should be brought back, Tishara should be brought back. I think these players would only harm Sri Lankan cricket when they come back to the playing 11 or playing 15.
Cricket
Let me
Fantasy
tell,
TSS
these
Hasaranga
people are
every
good.
single.
Okay,
Wait. We'll take the comments
Hasaranga.
from people. Hasaranga every single freaking day gives his away his wicket and gets out. The guy has the potential to be the best all round in the world. When he bats, he just forgets how to play cricket. I think we have to agree with this comment because the way that Hasaranga is batting in the nets and the way that he's playing in matches is completely different and it's unacceptable, especially his batting performance, I would say, is unacceptable. I have to admit that, as a Sri Lankan fan, I have to tell it's very frustrating to see how Hasaranga is batting. But I don't think you can't complain with his bowling, Nitish, because the way that I know last match is an exception. In Perth, the spinners, it didn't turn. So it does happen with Arshdeep Singh. These bowlers, Bumrah even has conceded 50 plus. No, even Rashid Khan in Asia Cup
Okay,
conceded
okay,
50
okay.
plus
Let's
runs. It
talk
happens
about
to
the
any.
positive. Pawan, Pawan, everybody knows that Sri Lanka, nobody was believing Sri Lanka to reach the semi-final. Once again, it had proved correct. If the same thing, the prediction was that Sri Lanka will not do anything in the World Cup. It proved that was correct. Right now, it has almost become correct. The Sri Lanka next fixtures are against Afghanistan. See, the talk about positive. You need one wash out of Australians game, either versus Ireland or against Afghanistan. And Brisbane,
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
then we
hearing
have to
that
win the
you
next two
will get.
matches, no, Nikesh. We have to win the next two matches to depend on that. No, first of all, if we don't win the two matches, then we don't go through the
No,
semi final.
until
That's
or
why.
unless there is a war out, see, Pawan, until or unless there is a war out, team will not get confidence. If you know that we have not got any chance of reaching to the semi final, I think
I think
you will play and
one
you
match
will
for
win.
Australia is in Adelaide, and one match is in Brisbane. So hopefully, either of these matches will be a washout. But I don't think there's been a washout in Brisbane yet. So I don't know how the weather. Adelaide, I'm not sure. This is the thing. The weather, we can't depend on weather right now. We have to hope. And Australia do have easy fixtures. I don't know against Ireland how they'll perform, but Afghanistan, I don't think it will be much of a threat. But I think Sri Lanka almost out. I mean, obviously 95% or 96% out. For sure, we have to
I
accept
am
it
saying
because
99.9% Sri Lanka is out of the World Cup. Way before,
it's
I think in the mid of the, I think it's already 10 days. I think their Sri Lankan team is out of the World Cup way before. I think the tournament is in the middle phase of the Sri Lanka
well,
is out. You can't
let's see,
see
Nitish. You never know. You
weaker
never know.
teams
Rain. You
deserve
cannot
this
predict
kind
about
of
rain.
defense.
I mean, if one match wash out for Sri Lanka, obviously they're out. So they can't depend on rain whatsoever right now. But hopefully, the Australia match, something happens because this is the thing. The Australia versus England, there should have been a result. That's what happens when both teams get 1 point and they took the advantage. If England beat Australia yesterday, then Sri Lanka would have still been in it. They would have still been in the 2020 World Cup, even if they lost to New Zealand. But because of the washout, Australia have got the benefit.
Okay,
That's
you
what.
can't be people, fans can't do much. Hope for the best. See, Sri Lankan team should try to build their team from now onwards because 50 over World Cup is also coming. And I don't think this Sri Lankan team will do well in India also. Let me tell you 1 year before. Let me tell you 1 year before, frankly, the way this team is going. Okay, thank you,
No, but I
Pawan.
think
Thank
ODI
you.
cricket. Okay, okay, okay. No worries, no worries. Yeah. All right, guys. So we'll be taking other people's comments. Yeah, sorry for that. I just took a neutral view also. But anyone else is interested? Um, yeah, Venuja here says. So, what are your opinions? Then scrap the whole team and start playing a new 11 to. Obviously, you cannot do that. Obviously, you cannot do that. But certain players need to be out. I mean, especially I think Charmika. First player I think should be out of this team is Chamika. Even from the whole squad, I don't think Chamika is suited to play in this 2020 squad. Second worry for me is Hasaranga's batting. He should improve. He definitely should improve. He has the potential. I mean, he's playing well in domestic cricket in Sri Lanka. How are you struggling? That's the thing. I don't know how is he struggling in the international circuit, playing about 62 or I think 65 plus matches. And if he's considering himself a batting all rounder, I haven't seen anything from the bat except for the Ireland match. Perhaps I think that 36 in the Asia Cup finals, if I remember about 3 or 4 innings as far as I can remember from Hasaranga. So that is a bit of a concern. Shamik, I can't remember anything from the bat that he's performed. I think except for that Afghanistan match in the Asia Cup. That's all I remember of Chamika's batting. Bowling wise, there has been some performances that he's done, but it's not acceptable because when Chamir and Madhushanka out of the team, it's Chamik obviously to take responsibility, and he hasn't taken the responsibility. He's also conceding 10 plus runs. So what are we supposed to do in that case? I also don't know. We have more things going on. Cricket Fantasy says, no, Pawan, we just don't deserve to go forward anymore. It's great if we get it, but still we don't deserve it. I agree. I agree. I mean, obviously, we are just checking the scenarios that we can go to this semi-finals. But yeah, I do agree. I don't think Sri Lanka do deserve with this kind of a performance against New Zealand and Australia. um, I think it's better if we pack our bags and go home, because the way that they prepared, the game awareness today was extremely poor. Because the way that we started was brilliant, positive. I mean, always I'm taking the positives. The Sri Lanka start, especially in the power play against Australia and New Zealand, were brilliant. We could have capitalized on those opportunities that we had. See, against Australia, if I'm not mistaken, 3 wickets in the power play. We were in a good stage. I think maybe 46 for 3. That was, I think, that day, Shanaka dropped a catch of, I think it was Aaron Finch that day. Today, Pathum Nisanka dropping Glenn Phillips. I mean, come on, at least, okay, learn a lesson for 3 days about fielding when they're doing so many fielding drills, doing so many catching techniques. Anton Brooks, have seen his Instagram post, the way that he's training the cricketers on the fielding. But still, this is unacceptable, no? The way that they're fielding, Sri Lanka fielding, it's flop. It's actually a bad impression towards all the other nations. See how Zimbabwe fielded against Pakistan. The Ireland match. See how Ireland fielded against England. They won that match. Zimbabwe, I don't know, it was a miracle the way that they won against Pakistan, even though they dropped catches and all, but that was a 130 score. But generally, teams do win by their fielding. And if Sri Lanka doesn't put a proper standard of fielding, then we can't win matches. We definitely can't win matches, because I think we considered maybe about 15 to 20 runs more if our fielding was proper. I think maybe New Zealand would have been 135, 140, not 160. We lost 20 or 25 runs thanks to our fielding only. Yeah, cricket fantastic cases in 2020. Starmick has done nothing. Yes, because I also can't remember anything what he has done during his 10 period. Charmika got a 40 odd against India once and a 75 in ODI against Australia. Other than that, he's done nothing with the bat or ball. I mean, backwise, yes, those are the two innings. So even the Afghanistan match, he scored 40 and Sri Lanka got 101. Batting wise, I critique a lot of Chamika, because he doesn't have any game awareness. The way that he plays the shots, always tries to get out. I don't see any intention from Chamika. Actually, very disappointing, because he has that aggression. Bowling wise, there are a couple of spells. I can't remember exactly the spells. I think the India series, even Australia series back in February, he did well. Bowling wise, some sort of progress is there, but batting wise, I don't see anything from Charmika. That's what it's sad to see, but I have to tell the truth. I haven't seen that much of a. You need to have match winners, you need to have match winners, and Charmika, except for one or two, he hasn't delivered. He hasn't delivered at all. Nisanka's catch was probably the easiest boundary line I've seen in a while. I don't know how we managed to drop. This is the thing, game awareness. I mean, that's the problem. When people are taken, when you're 3 wickets down, New Zealand, you're taking the thing lightly. When you're taking things lightly, then these kind of things happen. When you're not concentrating, on the field, you're not focused, you drop catches. That's what happened. Nisanka didn't have the focus, didn't have the concentration, slipped the match out of his hands. And yes, this cost Sri Lanka. This costed Sri Lanka badly. And for goodness sake, Pathum Nisank, improve your batting strike rate. I know you're in the top 10 in the 2020 rankings. Yes, I understand everything, rankings, everything, whatever. It doesn't matter for me. But the strike rate is a must in 2020 cricket. A must. Doesn't matter whether you score runs against this opponent, against India or Pakistan. Your strike rate needs to be maintained. If you just go and check Pathum Nisanka's overall strike rate, it's 113, 117 is unacceptable in 2020 cricket. Unacceptable for a Sri Lankan cricketer. I've spoken to Jared Kimball, so this is what he said. Just see this 112.47 strike rate is absolutely unacceptable in 2020 cricket. I mean, unacceptable. You have to have at least 130 strike rate, especially opener. This is a must. I know Kusal Mendis I can't compare because he's been batting at number 3. But talking about Nisanka, this strike rate is just unacceptable. I have to tell it, I don't care whether top 10, 2020 ranked batsman, doesn't matter, rankings doesn't matter. This is a 2020 World Cup. That sort of a strike rate is unacceptable, and I have to tell the truth. Let's see cricket fantastic. I haven't seen much of Lahiru Madhushanka. I've seen in the domestic. Even Charmika performs well in the domestic and he fails in the international cricket. Same with half these players, they perform well against domestic. Hasaranga even batted well in that SLC 2020 final. He scored some 50 or 60 along with Kusal Mendy. So you cannot compare this domestic cricket with international cricket. When you see these players in the international cricket circuit, only we can judge. I can't judge Lahiru Madhushanka based on his domestic. I have to see how he performs in international cricket. If he gets a chance, then I will analyze and see. Until then, I'm not taking any player. Even this Tanukar Rabre, Lasit Crosspulde, these openers, then bowling wise, Asita Fernando didn't make an impression at all in the first few matches with the bat only, and then that's why he's not in the 2020 World Cup squad, even though he's the highest wicket taker for in the SLC 2020 domestic. These are not the tournaments that we need to compare. The LPL is the only tournament that we need to compare the standards, because we play against foreign players. These domestic cricket wise, our standard is pretty poor. Pretty poor. This is why Sri Lanka cricket has been failing for the past 5 or 6 years. Hamza here says Mendes never scores against high opponents. He obviously never does, except for the India match, I think, in the Asia Cup. He has really only performed against Bangladesh, Afghanistan, against those teams only. So, really can't say anything much about that. Um, it's okay if Nisanka can get a 15 ball 25 than a 30 ball 30. Sri Lanka would prefer the 15 ball 25. Yeah, 15 ball 25, yeah, definitely. I mean, 25 runs of 15, yes, definitely would accept that than a 30 ball 30. That's just common sense, right? That's what I'm saying. The strike rate needs to be better from Nisanka. This is the thing. Nisanka, he plays a bit too slow, which you cannot accept in 2020 cricket. That's what I'm the problem is. He plays slowly. I know he gets the runs, but the way that he's playing, you cannot always depend like that. No, from Pathum Nisang, he also should know to have the ability to score boundaries. Cannot play slow, no, against especially Southee. The way that he started was very poor, I would say. Want to see Ascension Bandara bat. Good point. But what I've seen of Ashen Bandara, I'm not that much impressed. I don't think he deserves to be in this playing 11. I think because of his fielding only, he deserves to be in the squad even, I would feel. But let's see. This is the thing. You have to give a longer run also. For me, Ashen Bandara also is a ODI player. For me, ODI and Test more than 2020 for me. Even Ashen Bandara, I would say, is not a 2020 player for me. He's more of a ODI and Test. What I've seen in domestic and all, I'm pretty sure he's more of a ODI player than 2020 for me. Charmik has never been the guy who would get a 200 strike rate even in domestic. Lahiru has at least done that. Lahiru at least has to be given a chance. I mean, he should be given a proper chance. Yes, definitely. After the 2020 World Cup, yeah, whoever give a damn, I don't care. The all rounder, but Charmika needs to be out of this team. See this 3 of 8 batting at number 6. How is this acceptable? And getting out of a spin off first delivery itself. Come on, this is the game awareness, the way that he played that, trying to play that pull shot, and the way that he got out. It's just game awareness is pretty poor. Because at least I've seen some promise, Kusal Mendes, DDS scored runs at least, Asalanka scored runs this against Australia, Barnuka, he's been performing properly, Shanaka. So I can't critique much of the other players, but Chamika, We just go through his stats for a second, because see this. 2020 37 matches, 31 higher score, 16 average, 105 strike rate. See this. How is he batting at number 6? This player. And then see this 2020 also, 21 wickets in 37 matches. Average is 38. How bad? How bad is these stats? Isn't anyone, any analyst over here in Sri Lanka not checking Chamika Karunaratne's stats? They're just playing him because of his aggression cricket and the overconfidence he has, the confidence that he shows on the field. Because of that only he plays this, he gets into this 2020 World Cup. I definitely think after 2020 World Cup, forget about Chamika Karunaratne in this team. Absolutely forget about this player. He's only suitable to play in ODI cricket. ODI cricket, at least I can say he has shown some stats, and I kind of agree, because he scored a 75 35 average. That's acceptable, for a player. 18 matches, yeah, all right. I don't argue about his ODI. See, 16 wickets in 18 matches, okay, those are acceptable stats. But in 2020 wise, I don't see he has proven anything. He shouldn't be in this team. For me, he shouldn't be. After this 2020 World Cup, bring Lahiru Madhushankar, at least whoever's performing well in domestic, give them a longer run, let them prove their chances, and just forget about this Charmika in 2020, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Ashen Bandara 2020 record isn't that good. He got 250s in his first 3 games in very hard circum. That's what I've been saying. Even I'm not a big fan of Ashen Bandara. Rather than Ashen Bandara, I would have Dinesh Chandimal batting in the middle order, even though his strike rate is poor. At least should have brought Hasaranga up the order. Yeah, maybe. Good. That's a good thing that you told. Yeah. I think, yeah, maybe, because in that situation, yes, probably Hasaranga could have changed the game like what happened in the Asia Cup final. So, yeah, that's a good idea that you said, Hamza, but I don't think Mahela would have done that to anyone. They brought Charmik up higher than Hasaranga. So, I really don't know what to say to this team. But coming back, I took a lot of comments just to wrap things up. Before, I mean, to just go through. I mean, Trent, Boult, and Southee just absolutely brilliant. The way that they bowled today, I think 4 for 13, unplayable today. None of them were able to play bowl properly. Any batsman, and he's just a world class bowler. 3 wickets of right handers, bowl those short of good lens, good lens. Santner මං හිතන්නේ අත් හොඳට පන්දු යවුවා මං හිතනවා. ඉතින් ඕක තමයි. ඉතින් මං හිතන්නේ no partnerships, කිසි partnership එකක් නැහැ, contribution එකක් නැහැ. ඉතින් මේ වගේ situation එකක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් drop catches වල game change ශානකත් ඒක තමයි කියන්නේ. ඉතින් මමත් ඕක තමයි කියන්නේ. මට I have no words to say. This has been absolute dismal performance from this team. Cricket fantasy cases not Chandimal again. Never Chandimal. He just can't do anything in 2020s. Chandimal has done well in Australia. Yes, you have a point. Chandimal has done well in Australian conditions. If I was the selector, definitely Chandimal would be in that 15-member squad. Though even in the reserves and come as an injured player of Danushka Kunetilaka. Definitely not Ashen Bandara, but Dinesh Chandimal would have been in my consideration. The way that he's played in the LPL, the way he bats in the middle order, I was convinced. I think Chandimal deserved a place in that team, but unfortunately, selectors think other things. They don't care much about that. But coming back, I just think the New Zealand bowlers, you need to give credit to them. They did very well today. Sri Lanka was just nowhere. But the way that Bhanuka played, Chanaka Manghitane, or restless shots Manghitane were unacceptable. ඉතින් ඕක තමයි තත්ත්වය වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ වගේ ගැව්වොත් ඉතින් මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා කණ්ඩායම, I think is see these figures from Chamika, 0 for 37 of 3 overs. Lahiru Kumara, the no balls. See the extras that they've conceded, 10 at least. See the no balls. Rajitha 2, Kumara 1, wides. These are the things. See New Zealand, 6 extras only, no balls from these 5 bowlers, bowling perfectly. So I don't know what happened. Really, I think the game they just completely do. I think went off the game after that drop of Nisanka. Completely lost confidence. I saw that in the field also. They just lost their confidence. straight away. Gunatilaka, I hope he doesn't. Nah, no, definitely never, never, never play a 2020 match ever again for me. Never. Nisanga catch has lost the match completely. Lanka were looking superb with the ball, but that drop catch turned it all for New Zealand, and no chance of Sri Lanka come back from that. Yeah, I agree with you completely in rhythm on that. Yes, Chandimal did get chances against Australia and India. He just threw his wicket away every time. Yeah, but still, Chandimal is an experienced player. No cricket, fantastic. I would back Chandimal. I think the way, maybe definitely I would back Chandimal. Maybe over Chamika, but then that bowling option also goes. So I don't know whether Chandimal has a place in this team. It depends. Obviously, DDSOs has taken his place, but I think we need a replacement for Chamika ASAP. I definitely think Chamira would have been superb in these conditions had that he got injured before the start of the. Yeah, that's why we shouldn't be playing qualifiers. This is the reason why we shouldn't be playing qualifiers. This is why this much of injuries are happening. The pitches in Geelong were unacceptable, and this is why Sri Lanka had many injuries. The way that Australia cricket has hosted this tournament has been a disaster for me. I really don't know. They are using football pitches in Geelong. The AFL matches are going on in Geelong. They are using that. They are playing AFL a day before the 2020 World Cup starts, and the pitches are sloppy. Injuries are happening. So this is also unacceptable from Australia cricket. The way that they've been organizing this tournament has been very, very poor. So I don't know words to say, but Australia cricket has really, really disappointed certain cricket boards over the way that they are hosting has been very poor. I have to say that the standard has been pretty poor. Who would Chandimal replace? Yes, good question. That's what I was also trying to think of, but this is the thing. I don't think anyone can replace Chandimal right now with the way. Maybe Dhananjay De Silva, but then Dhananjay De Silva gives his the bowling option. So I don't think Chandimal has a place. Rather than Chandimal, I think maybe I think the problem for me in this Sri Lankan team, I think we need to find a proper opener. Nisanka has to bat at number 3 for me. Nisanka, I don't think is utilized properly. Husan Mendes definitely could remain as an opener. Maybe promote DDS up, but I'm not a huge fan. This is the thing. We need to find that left hand opener for me. Either a Tanuka Dabare or Lasit Cruz Pulle. Give them a chance for 2 years for the next 2020 World Cup at least. Lahiru Madhushankar should be in this team for me. And then I think with Samir and Dilshan Madhushankar, I think it's sorted. It's just the injuries that we've been having. He's been the problem. How about a specialist bowl instead of Charmik? Anyways, he doesn't bat properly. No, no, we need a batsman. Anyways, we need a batsman. Number 6, number 7, we need a batsman. Anyways, these players haven't been performing well. We need an all rounder. We need an all rounder, proper all rounder. Because other teams also have proper all rounders and they win matches. So I think they need. You cannot. Yeah, I know that he played against Ireland properly, but that's against Ireland. No, this is against Australia, New Zealand. These are higher standards. So that's what I'm just saying right now. Yeah, guys. So I think we spoke a lot about this match. I don't think there's much things to talk about here. We just criticized. They deserve to come home. So yeah, I think nothing much to tell about the Sri Lankan team. Obviously, we talk a bit about tomorrow's matches. For me, tomorrow, I think Bangladesh versus Zimbabwe Group B. I think that's a big match for Group B wise. I think Zimbabwe are favorites for me in Group 1 and see when Group 1 comes. Sri Lanka fifth right now with 2 points. Hopefully, Australia and Ireland will be a washout. That's our only hope in Brisbane, Adelaide, wherever it is. Hopefully, and pray that will be a washout. So then Sri Lanka has a chance in case they beat Afghanistan and England. But otherwise, they're out. Yeah, and Group B looks very interesting. Obviously, Zimbabwe having a good chance of qualifying the semi-finals in case South Africa loses to India and Pakistan, and Zimbabwe beats Bangladesh and Netherlands. Then Zimbabwe go through to the semi-finals. So that's a scenario that can easily happen. So yeah, next matches I think we have Bangladesh versus Zimbabwe. I think Zimbabwe will win. Netherlands versus Pakistan. I think Pakistan will come make a comeback, but I just feel Netherlands also have a good chance, especially their fast bowlers. I think if the batting, I think the middle order batting, if they can perform well, at least one batsman can stay until the end. I think the Netherlands have a chance against Pakistan once again. India versus South Africa, very very tough match over here. Starts at 4:30 tomorrow. I feel South Africa have a good chance tomorrow. Yeah, so I'll be going for South Africa, but either India also has a good chance of obviously coming back. It's nice to see that Zimbabwe and Ireland have a good chance for semi-finals. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think yeah, surely Zimbabwe will win. I do agree with you. How about Ireland beating Australia? Who knows? This World Cup has been weird. Yeah, maybe, but I think because it's Australia conditions. One thing I don't count about this is because of the Australia conditions. Because they're playing in home conditions, I just think Australia a bit ahead than most of the teams, except for New Zealand. New Zealand also plays in these same conditions, but except for New Zealand, in India maybe, I think Australia looks pretty good compared to the other teams. So yeah, guys. So I think for me, I'm going with Zimbabwe, Netherlands, and South Africa tomorrow. I think Pakistan have a chance. I won't say. I think I won't be surprised if Pakistan beat Netherlands, but just I want to go for the upset. I think Netherlands do have a chance, seeing how they've been performing in qualifiers and the way that they've been performing so far in the 2020 World Cup. They have a chance. If Zimbabwe beat Pakistan, even Netherlands can. Why not? Yeah. Yeah, so this ends the Cuss video. I mean, obviously the blasting of Sri Lanka cricket. Yeah, it just needed. And thank you so much to all these commenters. Cricket Fantastic, Nitish, Benuja, and Sportbeat, and even Hamza for joining me with in the comments and told everything. And yeah, I think there's serious problems right now for Sri Lanka cricket. We do deserve to come home with how we've been playing, but let's see. The hopes are not over. Just a bit Sri Lanka is there in case if there's a washout. Otherwise, we are officially out if Australia do win their next two matches. So let's see how it happens. Even Ireland have a chance of getting to the semi-finals, but Sri Lanka have absolutely not played well in this 2020 World Cup. Neither has the rains helped the Sri Lankans as well in certain matches. So yeah, and good night, everybody. Thanks, Pawan. Yes, so we'll be ending over there. Please do subscribe the sports breakdown. Please like, comment, and share on this video. And we'll come back for another video. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video. Goodbye, good night, and thank you.